I found out on a Wednesday. Not because I was looking, because he left his laptop open on the kitchen counter, the same counter I had wiped down 3 hours earlier, and walked out to take a phone call. I wasn't snooping, I was setting down his coffee. The number on the screen was $214,000, moving in installments, neat, clean, almost surgical, into an account belonging to a man named Daniel Rowe. I didn't know Daniel Rowe, but I knew his sister. She was the woman my husband, Mark, had told me was just a client contact. I stood there for 11 seconds. I counted. Then I stepped away from the laptop, left it open, exactly as I found it. I picked up his coffee mug, walked to the counter, set it down without making a sound, and I smiled. Not because I was fine, because I had just understood something that changed every single rule of the game. Mark thought he was leaving me. He had no idea he was handing me everything I needed to dismantle him. Before I tell you what I did next, and I want to be very specific about what I did because every single step mattered, tell me where you are watching this from right now. Drop your city in the comments, just the city, because I have a feeling that the people watching this at midnight, alone with their phone face down on the bed, you already know this feeling. You've already done the math on someone who thought you were too quiet to count. I want you to stay with me for the next few minutes, because this is not a story about screaming. There was just a woman who finally decided to stop being invisible, and a man who was about to learn that invisible people hold up entire worlds. Here is what Mark's world actually looked like. His logistics company generated $2.3 million last year. He knew how to shake hands. He knew how to walk into a room. What he did not know was that his tax liability should have been $380,000 and was instead $94,000. I knew all of it because I was the one who built it. I was not his wife. I was his unpaid infrastructure, the load-bearing wall he had never once looked at because the ceiling above him had never fallen. I paid the quarterly filings, I managed the legal exposure, and every Friday his mother Eleanor would sit at my dining room table, sip my coffee from my cups, and ask me, with that particular smile she had, when I was planning to do something with my life. Eleanor smelled like Chanel No. 5 and condescension. She called me the little housewife, not to my face. I heard it from the hallway. Day 1. I made his favorite breakfast. Day 3, I revoked my digital signature from 11 of his 14 active business platforms. Day 5, I met with a forensic accountant. I walked in with 4 years of financial records, organized by quarter, in color-coded folders. She looked at me across the table and said, "How long have you been sitting on this?" I said, "Long enough." That same afternoon, I quietly removed myself as the financial guarantor on his 2 largest business lines of credit. Day 6, I moved my legally entitled half of the clean liquid assets into a separate account. Day 7, I had my nails done, pale pink, clean, quiet. I came home, I cooked dinner, I set the table for 2. They arrived at 11 a.m. Mark, Eleanor, and a man in a gray suit carrying a leather briefcase who I had never seen before but understood immediately. Eleanor was wearing Chanel No. 5. I could smell it from the hallway. Mark set the papers on the dining room table. He had a particular expression on his face, the expression of a man who believes he has already won. I looked at them. I did not look at him. I said nothing, and then his phone rang. He glanced at the screen, the bank. He held up one finger and stepped away. He came back 45 seconds later. He looked different. His phone rang again. He didn't recognize the number. He answered it anyway. He went very still. I watched the color leave his face the way water leaves a glass, all at once, then gone. Here is what was happening in numbers. His primary business account, frozen. His 2 lines of credit, recalled. His phone, by the end of that morning, 42 missed calls. I picked up the divorce papers. I read them, unhurriedly, every page, while he stood there. Then I picked up the pen the lawyer had placed on the table. I signed, neatly, completely, without hesitation. I slid the papers back across the table, stood up, picked up my bag, which had been packed for 3 days. I paused at the doorway, not to look at him, just to feel the sunlight. Then I walked out. Here is what I want you to take from this. The moment you begin to understand your own value, clearly, specifically, in actual numbers, you realize that leaving is not losing. Leaving is simply the moment you stop subsidizing someone else's comfort with your life. Mark did not lose me because I was angry. He lost me because I finally stopped being available. So here is my question for you. Have you ever held someone's entire life together and watched them treat you like you were the lucky one? Tell me your story.